All right, so there is a definite 20. What we got going on here? Is it a 12-second delay? Okay, so it's like a 20-second delay. All right, so we are live. What is going on, everybody? This is our first official live stream on Rumble, and I am trying to make sure I got the delay. I see Kurt24 out there. Kurt24, thank you so much for joining today. I know you're a channel member over on the YouTube channel. We are officially doing our first podcast on Rumble. This is episode 217. I'm waiting for a few people. If you guys are out there, please comment in the live chat so we know who's watching. Our guests tonight are aware that this is our first time on Rumble officially for a live stream. We've done Rumble streams in the past, but this is the Shooting the Woods podcast. So I see Kurt out there. He says, Joe, what can you do? What can you do here that you can't do on YouTube? Strap check. Well, what I have on me right now is I have my PSA dagger rocking the Gideon Optics Alpha, the Variant Innovations Null, which gives me a 17-round Glock mag in a compact pistol. Awesome. Goon Beam flashlight. Guys, remember, go check out Goon Beam for the coolest flashlights ever. And you save 10% off by using code JOJUICE at your checkout at goonbeam.com. It feels so good to be holding guns again, but no, it looks like the live chat. I know we're kind of behind. I'm going to go ahead and start the show off as we usually do because I'm trying to figure this out just like you guys. So let's kick this show off right. Alrighty, what is crack-a-lackin', everybody? Thank you for joining the Shooting the Woods podcast live on Rumble. I see Safety Haba Firearms out in the chat. What is going on? That's right, we are touching guns, Walter. Guys, go check out Safety Haba Firearms and stenparts.com. Just got VZ, the original VZ said, I forget what the termination is, but stenparts.com has barrels for the original Scorpion barrels. I always forget that. I want to call it a VZ56, but it's not a VZ56. But we got barrels in at stenparts.com. Guys, as always, we are here because of you. I'm glad we are able to do this on Rumble and we're able to actually do a live stream of a podcast. This will be uploaded to YouTube hopefully this weekend once everything gets all taken care of. But let's first pay the bills and check out some of our sponsors of the show.
Guys, this podcast is sponsored by the amazing people over at Aegis Gun Care. Aegis Gun Care, I've been saying it for years, is the leader in firearms cleaning, lubrication, and solutions. It's a two-part system. You guys have been hearing it forever. I love Aegis Gun Care. This is the cleaner. It gets all your carbon off your firearms. It doesn't have a smell, and it's non-toxic. Then you follow it up with their special lubricant. We call it Joe Juice here on the Shooting in the Woods podcast. This stuff is amazing. It prevents rust. It lubricates your firearms. It does a ton of amazing qualities, you guys. I cannot stress enough how much I love Aegis Gun Care. They also have cleaning kits available. This is their field kit. You get everything from 22 up till 45. You can get patches, you can get hats, merchandise, and even some pretty cool cleaning mats. If you do me a favor and go over to Aegis Gun Care and use code JOJUICE, you will save 10% off your entire order. And we thank Aegis Gun Care so much for sponsoring today's podcast.
Alrighty, guys. Like I said, check out Aegis Gun Care. Best stuff in the business. I use it on all my guns. Love it so much. Use code JOJUICE. 10% off your entire order. One of the original sponsors of the Shooting Woods podcast. But next, let's check out the sponsor that got us kicked off YouTube because YouTube thought I was holding a gun. Let's check it out. the person that is the reason, or the company that's one of the reasons why we're now checking out on Rumble.
Guys, this podcast is sponsored by Liberty Bell Firearms. Liberty Bell Firearms is the Cerakote of choice here on the channel. They did the Kit Kat build, paint on the frame. This is the SCT frame. Everything we built over from Brownell's Parts. I said, man, I want this to look like a Kit Kat wrapper. He did it. This is awesome. The video is not doing it justice. He not only did the logo, but he did the pins, controls, all different colors, extremely custom. And he also offers laser stippling on things like AR-15 grips, laser engraving as well for metal parts, say your slide, frame, 1911 grip panels. Guys, if you want to get some really cool designs done or get some stuff Cerakoted, please check out Liberty Bell Firearms. They're offering the listeners of this podcast 20% off by using code JOJUICE. We thank Liberty Bell Firearms for sponsoring today's podcast.
Liberty Bell Firearms is probably one of the best Cerakotes I've seen in my time in the industry. Check them out. Use code JOJUICE. Laser stippling on your handguns and anything you want to send to him. And Cerakote. He likes doing custom work, so if you use code JOJUICE, 20% off. Say you get a job that's a $300 job. With that discount code, you get $100 off. And yes, it was a VZ61 Scorpion that Simparts has barrels for, so go check them out. But let's bring on our guests. This is a topic that I'm not that up to speed with, but I like to learn, and I think you guys are going to learn with them. So we have Doug and Eric of Zero Dark Precision. What's up, guys?
Hey guys.
All right, we got this covered, and I'm really looking forward to it. Eric, I hope you're feeling better. I know last week you were like under the weather. It was just
I was fine.
Was it worse than a man cold, or was it like
my fiance's a teacher. She brought home that stomach virus that's going around. It was 2 exits, no waiting.
I love it. Well, I was like, oh well. Remember, like a couple years back, we were like, "Oh, did I get the vid? Did I get the Covidicus? Is that what this is?" But dude, I get you, man. I was bad this week, and I did not feel good at all, and I was just like I had a massive migraine that just like controlled my life for most of the day.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to have you guys on. For those who don't know, Zero Dark Precision, the reason how we got them on the show is my loving girlfriend Christy. She met them at the Dulles Gun Show, and she did some networking. And she told me, hey, you should check these guys out. They make really cool stuff. And, of course, I'm going to check them out. So that's how we got you guys on. So thank you to Christy Tortel out there of the Heller Foundation. I know she's at an event right now, so I know she's probably not going to be in the live chat. But how are you guys doing? It's, what is it, going into March right now. How's everything been going this year?
Yeah, it's starting to. The seasons we're getting into, the shooting seasons are starting to pick up, which really gets us busy.
Awesome.
It switches over from hunting season to, competition season. It's a little bit of a lull there, and then it picks back up.
Oh, nice. So why don't you go ahead and tell the people that are watching the show what, or people who listen to this after, who you guys are, what you do, and we'll go from there.
Sure. We're Zero Dark Precision. We do primarily precision rifles. We do bolt action. Do a lot of bolt action. We also do precision gas guns, which takes a lot more work than bolt guns. We'll do some other stuff on the side. We work on some handguns. All of a sudden, I've got people bringing me turkey shoot guns. I'm like, I don't know anything about shotguns, guys. But we'll try. We'll figure it out.
I'm the same way. You give me an over and under shotgun, I'm like, that's a warranty issue. You send it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't think this is our thing.
Oh,
but these guys are bringing us 15-pound barrels, wanting to make shotguns out of them.
No,
for turkey shooting.
Why are people doing that? Why? No. Like, dude, just like 15-pound barrels. Like, dude, just go buy like a 590. They're rated for 3-inch magnet, 3-inch. Yeah. Like, just come on.
Yeah,
don't do that.
It's the thing.
Well, that's so okay. So you do primarily precision rifles, gas guns, and you'll do some handguns here or there. obviously, whatever. Now, is it a full blown? Are you guys a full blown like gunsmithing service, or just you guys are? Hey, we produce this, and that's
Yeah, I don't want your, grandfather's 98 Mauser or some like Russian. It's not.
Oh, that's awesome. That's exactly how I feel, because when as everybody who's listening knows, I was a gunsmith for like 5 years. I worked at 2 different shops, one in Massachusetts, one down here in Florida. If you come at me with like an old 22 rifle that you're like, oh, my dad handed it down to me, or my grandfather passed away and I inherited this, check it out. I'm like, I don't want to work on it, because I know, one, it's good, or if it's not, I can't get parts for it. It's automatically out of headspace. I don't care. Like, don't give this to me, please.
Yeah, it's not going to work.
Yeah, it's like doing old plumbing versus new plumbing.
Yep.
Oh, that's the analogy I've ever heard.
We've had people bring us like old Anschutz and 22s and stuff, and we've made exceptions because they're really cool. But I'm not working on your 50-year-old Marlin. It's just I don't know anything about it. It's not worth my time.
Yeah, I'm luckily I've only had like one dude that had like a bubba up Mauser. I actually just converted my old Mauser from the guy who I bought it from did it right, glass bed the stock, and pillar bedded the recoil, the screws and stuff like that. He did a very good job. And I was able to I bought the original stock from my boss, and I'm waiting on a couple parts, but thankfully it wasn't that dicked up. But I can imagine someone comes to you with like an Enfield, and they're like, hey, can you do this? No, I don't want it.
No, I can't. I don't.
We don't work on jab.
I will work on old 98 Mausers. I said that I had a guy bringing one in, and it was gorgeous. It had already been converted to a civilian, and we rechambered. It was a hunting rifle. We did it in 6 Creedmoor.
Oh, hell yeah!
Yeah, it turned out really nice for a hunting rifle.
So when you guys do, just before we get into that, just because out of curiosity, 6 Creedmoor in a Mauser, that action pretty much is strong enough it can take a lot of abuse.
A 98 Mauser action will take an elephant car. It'll take 375 H&H.
It's one of the heavier actions ever made.
It's a bank vault.
Well, that is awesome to hear. Just because that's how my brain works. Like, what can you do? All right. So, what got you guys into the precision rifle, or like building precision rifles? Like, what was drawing it from you? Did you guys go to like a gunsmith school, or it's just you were tinkering and then it turned into, hey, I'm going to get my FFL? And
I started messing with precision rifles while I was still in the Navy. I ended up on like limited duty and was working on the sniper rifles that the teams were using, and I thought it was fascinating. And I just kept kind of stuck with it as a side hustle after I got out. And 5 years ago, I decided I really didn't like what I was doing, and I should make this my full-time thing. So I did.
Oh, well, thank you for your service, by the way. So you started messing with it, and what at that time, what was everybody looking for when they were building like a precision gun? Was it like a 20? They wanted a 22 that was hot rodded, or?
It was kind of because PRS was just starting to get big, and the 22 PRS everybody was using just as kind of a weekend. We're gonna practice this for the centerfire thing. So what you were seeing was like the Ruger precision rimfire, and I don't even think Gar had come out with their 22s yet. So I mean, it was like 1022s and Ruger precision rimfires, and then you had the custom companies and Bagar start coming out with really pretty accurate rifles and high-end actions. And I didn't know. I knew about high power precision rifles, and I'd had some really good mentors over the years. But 22 like precision, I had no idea. And I called a guy I had been to one of his schools, Gordy Gritter, and Gordy's like, yeah, I did a couple of bench rest 22s a few years ago, but like that's not really my thing. He hooked me up with a guy who had built the Angels and Walthers for the Olympic teams, and I sat there on the phone with the guy. I filled up a 80-page spiral notebook with notes, and oddly enough, building a 22, like precision 22, is nothing in common with building a high power rifle. Like you're polishing the chamber, like you would never do that with a high power rifle. I mean, you're doing really weird stuff, and you get, well, our average accuracy on our rifles, 22s, is about 1/10 of an inch at 50 and 1/4 at 100.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's nonsense.
So I mean, they're running these rifles out to 300 and 400 yards and hitting 66% IPSC at 400.
Oh wow, that's really good. So let's get into exactly what you guys like. What is where like when you guys are building a rifle? What do you guys obviously do? You start with the action. How do you go at it? Do you guys machine the action, or do you pick? Someone say, hey, we have this pristine action, whatever. We'd like this gun built out.
If it's a factory action, Remington, even Tikas are better than almost anybody else. For being square and not needing that much work, although there's a couple things we change on them. They have to be trued. They're not. They're going to have factory tolerances. They just are. If you go with like a high-end custom action, the Impact 737. My favorite, one of my favorites is Tuber. Matt, he's a
TL3 from Zermatt.
Yeah, Zermatt TL3. You're not going to have to do anything. I put him on the lathe just to check them, because like if they're not square and I send it out, then it's my fault. So
yeah,
I check them, but I've never had one where I was, oh, I need to face this. Like you're not going to have to face a 737. You're just not.
Yep.
But we check them anyhow. And then it's all about getting everything square with the bore of the rifle. You square up your the bore of the rifle with your lathe, and you start cutting from there. Get your tenon and chamber, everything as perfectly square. We try to keep to 10,000ths.
Okay.
On the chamber.
It takes longer to true the barrel than it does to chamber it.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it takes me about an hour to cut the tenon and cut the chamber, and it can take me at least an hour, sometimes two, to get it within 10,000ths of true to the bore of the lathe. Wow. Wow. And that's Bertha in the background. We've got it's an old early 80s LeBlanc.
Okay.
And the reason we went with that is you've got finding an American-made lathe is almost impossible anymore, and even like the really good ones like Precision Matthews, which is probably the best overseas one made. When you kick it on, you can feel it torque. It's the weight on it's less than half of this LeBlanc.
Oh yeah, the lathe. One of the lathes we have at my job. It's a big boy, and it is like I can't imagine trying to move it. I've yet to have to, but
getting this thing in here was sporty. It was
7 of us and a pair of pallet jacks and a lull.
Yeah, it's 5,000 pounds, but it doesn't have any torque to it.
Yeah,
so you don't get the chatter in the throat and stuff like that.
Yep.
Unless it's a 5R barrel, and then it's just all bets are off.
Yeah, I see Christy Churchill actually in the chat. What is going on, my love? Hope you're doing well. I know you're at the whatever. I know you're doing something. She's in Colorado actually right now. She says she's from she's on the campaign in Colorado, but she was that little blonde woman that you guys met at Okay. Yeah, she was like, oh my god, they're so cool, please check them out. Oh, of course, yeah, no problem. So you made quite an impression on her.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun talking to her.
Oh yeah, yep. She's come out in PLA as well as out there. What's up, dude? Again, guys, there is a little bit of a delay on Rumble. I'm trying to make sure I don't have the live chat on my StreamYard, so I have like 2 screens up, so I don't miss any. If anybody has questions for tonight's show for Doug or Eric, please put them in the chat. All right, so you guys start, depending on the factory action, you true up the barrel, you have to true up the action, you have to, do all that stuff. from there, does it all depend on what the customer wants for, say, whether it is a traditional stock, a chassis? Do you have to fit the stock to the customer if it's like a traditional stock?
Absolutely.
If it's a traditional stock, wood stock, and he's not putting adjustable comb and length of pull on it. Yeah, I mean, if it's adjustable comb and length of pull, you give it to him, he can adjust it later. But if it's a wooden stock and if it should fit him. I mean, somebody's paying you $5,000 or $6,000 for a hunting rifle. It should probably fit the guy.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not a woodworker. Honestly, I have so much respect for people that have the patience for woodworking. I don't have the patience for it.
I say that we fit it. That's a bull face. I measure it. Doug fits it, and if it's really complicated, we send it out to a friend who does like beautiful woodwork because it's unbelievably time consuming.
Yeah, like just doing the limb savers that you have to grind to fit. That still will probably take me about an hour, and that's just grinding that, and that's the most of fitting I'll do to a stock. So I was gonna say, if you guys did now for what you guys are seeing now, are people using the MDT type chassis where it's usually it comes with like an arc rail setup and the precision adjustment stocks where everyone's straying away from the traditional wood stocks?
About the only traditional appearance of the stock we see are the foundations. You hardly ever see McMillan anymore, oddly enough. The tactical guys still use McMillan because it's an excellent stock.
I like McMillan stocks.
I love it, and I cut my teeth with the A4 on the M40s. But the foundations, what's some of the other ones?
Yeah, and if you guys have, since we're on Rumble, if you guys want to show stuff that you guys work on.
The foundation's a really cool stock.
It's not wood, but it has a look of wood.
It's actually out of micarta.
Okay.
And it's sufficiently dense. You actually don't.
Oh, wow.
And I've talked to the guy at Foundation about this and a couple of the other shooters. You don't need to do aluminum pillars. They say you don't need to bed it, but we at least bed the lug, and I prefer to bed the whole thing.
Yep. Wow. That is.
But
that's a 22.
Yeah, this is a 22.
I was looking at the mag. I'm like, that's a 22. Oh, dear Lord.
It's a Rimex action. It's a Rimex.
Okay. Yeah. What type of scope do you have on there?
That's a Gen 3 Vortex Razor.
Oh, I love Vortex optics.
I do too.
I like also, I'm a huge fan of Gideon. They're kind of Gideon, they make the red dots that we all love, but they just came out with their 1-6 or 1-10 LPVO. So I'm waiting for them. They're one of these.
Yeah.
They're just going to be like, oh, hey, we're going to start doing precision optics. Now, so you go from there, and then you get the stock, all that stuff. What is your process for when you're building a gun? Test fire. Do you take it out to 100-yard range, or?
Yeah, we
have a 100-yard range here, and I do all the test firing for them.
Yeah.
But I don't send anything out that hasn't been test fired.
Of course, yeah. But like if someone's like, okay, listen, I want like a guaranteed quarter MOA accuracy. Like, granted, can you shoot quarter MOA accuracy?
Yeah, therein lies the rub.
Yeah, I
guarantee I can.
I can guarantee that if you bring it over here and let me shoot it, it'll shoot a good quarter inch. I don't know how well you shoot, but I will build you the rifle.
I can shoot this gun quarter inch for you. It's on you.
Well, and the other thing, most of the rifles, the Dashers, the GTs, they shoot significantly below quarter. Normally, we have to go out to 300 or 400 yards to actually group them because at 100 yards, it's just they're all going through the same hole.
Oh, wow. That's okay.
Yeah, so we'll be out at 600 yards and shooting just over an inch.
This is one of our test targets from the Rimex is at 50 yards. Each one of those are 5-shot groups.
Okay. So, like, as the guy that goes to the range just to shoot, I'm starting to get into a little bit of competition. I'd want a gun like that just so I could have fun at the range. I'm all about enjoying my time shooting. I'm, starting to get a little bit of competition, but some guys, they have guns that are built for its intended purpose. Me,
Yeah.
I'd bring that gun out to the range every single time I go, knowing, hey, this thing is going to shoot less than a dime hole, same group accuracy at 100 yards. Like, that is sheer fun to me. We do have a question. We do have a question from the live chat from Christy. I think we already went over this when we started the show, but what motivated you to start your own company? And that's, you were working in the Navy and you're just kind of started working.
I've always, I contracted for a while. We did some security stuff. And then I started another company. So basically I've worked for myself for 20 years. I don't do authority real well. Like, you don't want to yell at me. You don't want to yell at me because so like that.
I'm the same way. If someone raises their voice at me, I am like, I'm a big thing on loyalty. If you have my trust, you have my loyalty for life. I'll take a bullet for you. You do something like that, instant, you're dead. You're just dead.
Yeah.
So
I was doing roofing, and I've done gunsmithing stuff since I was in my teens, but I was getting too old to do roofing, and I'm like, Eric and I decided this was a better semi-retirement plan and more fun.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, honestly, I got into guns when I was like 21, 22, and instantly it was like, oh, I love this. And then it just became my true passion. And granted, I grew up in Massachusetts where the laws were incredibly horrible.
Do you have guns in Massachusetts?
I know. It's tough building fixed mag AR-15s, and we couldn't have certain pistols. Now I'm in Florida where it's footloose and free. But not as free as, say, like Virginia or wherever.
Eric and I, when we were teenagers, our first hunting rifles were HK91s.
Yeah. Our dad was weird.
That is awesome. For those who don't know what an HK90, okay, did it have the giggle switch or it just was a semi-auto?
No,
okay. So an HK91 is
never shot a G3, but
I've shot G3s. I love them. I've shot a few. I've never shot a true HK G3, but I've shot pretty much every variant there is. So I love them. My boss Walter Keller of Safe Harbor Firearms, he is a huge G3 fan. So he loves the set me's. He loves the anything G3. He had one of those old school bandoliers that literally had made for the set me mags, all loaded up. He handed it to me. I'm like, this thing's like 50 pounds. How do you walk around with this? But yeah, I like that sentiment of like, hey, working for yourself, not being being your own boss. I love that, and that's why I think working on guns is so good, because it gives you time to just like, hey, you're at the bench. You don't care what's going on. You're focusing on something.
Yeah.
So all right. Well, that's cool. So you guys, you've been doing your own guns. That 22, obviously, just seeing those groupings, that is amazing. How long did it take you to perfect getting accuracy like that?
That first, we first started like. And we've been doing the high power for a while, and they were, lights out. We started this 22. We're like, wow, we're like, the first one was an absolute shit show. I must have had that thing back on the lathe like
6 times.
Because I'm trying to follow this guy. It's a bench rest shooter. I'm trying to follow all the stuff he had sent, told me about, and I got it done, and we took it out, and we're like, well, I mean, it shoots.
It didn't blow up. I set it on my first 50 cal I made, and like, I'm not a 50 cal shooter, but like, I've always been really interested in the way that this particular gun that we make is made, and I was shown how to like put it together, and I'm like, wow. I mean, like, I put the barrel in the lathe probably like 4, 5, 6 times.
Yeah, it's
and different tolerances, obviously, but I was like, you went to go test fire. I'm like, I think I'm on the right track.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, so it probably took you a while to perfect that. Like, that's probably the most accurate rifle I've ever seen. And
Well, and the really cool part is like a lot of folks are, they're still shooting the Bagaras or the CZs. The CZs are excellent.
yeah, great guns.
The mistake they made, and there is a mistake, is the 22s are press fit barrels with the grub screw.
Yep.
If you know anything about accuracy, the one thing you don't want to do is put torque on any part of the barrel, like anywhere. You don't want, so they put this thing in and then put torque right at the chamber. So what we do is we pull the barrels, and I have a fixture, a jig that we fix the receiver into the lathe, and I face it, and then I actually thread the inside of the action just like a high power rifle, and then we thread fit the barrel, and we use we're using a lot of Loja, the 3-groove 22 barrels.
Okay. Yep. I've heard of those. Yep.
Excellent 22 barrels, and we can get the same accuracy as we get out of the custom actions.
Oh wow!
So if you already have, a Bagara or a CZ, and
a Ruger American,
we did a Ruger American. A guy's his wife is using it for a 22 bench rest and like consistently winning.
I love the Ruger American, like for the price, the ease of use. Yep. It checks a lot of boxes for me, and the fact that like even that gun you guys are able to work on, like that's pretty cool, because like I personally think I'm one of those people. Everyone should have a Ruger American of some type. I've had I've had two. I've had a 30. The first bolt action rifle I ever bought was a 30-06. And that's a very light 30-06. So when I put a 220 grain core lock in there, I damn near thought I thought I popped my collarbone. I was like, and obviously I was very new to guns. It was a BSA 3-9x40 that I bought for $60 at Walmart. I didn't scope myself, which I was happy, but like I thought I popped my collarbone. I'm like, I don't like this. Like, no, this isn't fun. No. So, and then I had a 223 ranch rifle. Love that gun.
Those are cool.
Really,
we've got a 7.62, but no, it's a 300 AAC.
Yeah.
A guy just brought us a 300 AAC that takes the M16 magazines.
Oh hell yeah, those are cool. Those are cool.
We're SOT, and so we're gonna cut it to like 10 inches or something. Yeah, and put one of those pig spear chassis on it.
Oh, nice.
It's going to be like this big for a truck gun.
So it's going to be like a mini fix at home.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. For a lot less.
I am a Q fanboy. I will admit.
Oh no, I love Q.
Yeah, I love their stuff. I love their marketing. I love everything they make. Plus, the last bolt action I just sold was a Remington Micro 7 and 300 blackout, but it was the AAC collaboration, stock AAC stamp on the barrel. Never shot it. I had it in my safe. I never shot it, and I bought it for a really good price, and I sold it to a friend of mine. His name's Hank Strange. So Hank, if you're out there listening, he runs the Who Moved My Freedom podcast, and I know he is super happy he got that. But yeah, everyone was like, dude, I can't believe you sold that. I'm like, I never shot it. Like, so I want to get into, I do want to get into the gas guns real quick before we get into kind of like the PRS circuit and like how you guys started, like, you have 1.5 sponsored shooters. So the gas guns, when you guys are building, I'm guessing they're going to be AR-15s or like even like, do you guys do M1A type guns or no?
I can do an M1A. I haven't in a long time.
They're not fun.
They're very hard to make, like accurately, like we think of accuracy nowadays.
Oh yeah. I had a buddy that bought the SOCOM 16, and he was like, "Oh man, I'm having some accuracy issues." The goddamn barrel was at a like 20-degree angle, and I'm like, "You have a bent barrel from the factory. How did this pass QC?" But yeah, M1A actions are very hard to do. But so for the AR-15s, when you're getting accuracy, obviously the barrel is going to be your key. When you're putting it into the upper receiver, do you lap and like kind of bed the?
We actually have a jig to put it on the lathe to square, because you do have to square that receiver, because even like the absolute best upper receivers, they're not square. That matting between the barrel extension and the receiver, it's not square. So we have to square it. So, and we had been using just the one that everybody puts in the drill.
Yeah, that's what I had. I've used.
Yeah,
those,
I decided we could probably do it better if we put it on the lathe. Now we have a guy up in West Virginia, who's a CNC shop, that's doing it for us. So we had been bedding the barrel to the action. These are heat fit. We have to heat the receiver.
Oh wow!
To get the barrel in there, and then once it cools down, you're not getting it out. You would need a slide hammer.
Yeah, it's not coming out.
It's there. So
that's always fun when someone's like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna replace the barrel," and like I've had to heat some receivers, like some BCMs, you have to like heat the barrel and stuff like that.
The BCM you're supposed to have to.
Yeah. So my first time trying to take a barrel off, I did not know that, and like I thought I'm like, this isn't coming out. What's going on? It's a piece of crap. And then someone popped their head in like it's a BCM. Heat the barrel up, and I'm like, oh yeah. And it came like, oh, okay. So fun facts as you're learning the trade. All right. So what do you guys for when you're doing that? What do you do for like twist rates on gas guns?
It depends on. We don't use factory barrels. I order blanks.
Yep.
Either Krieger or Lilja.
Yep.
And then we use either Lilja or JP barrel extension. John Paul does an amazing job on his ARs. Like, if ours shoot as well as his and cost a little bit less, but damn, he makes a nice gun. And his bolts are perfect every time. So we use a lot of his parts. The Krieger barrels we get the best accuracy out of on the gas guns. Like 6mm, we're running probably either 7 or 8 twists, depending on what people are going to be shooting. If you're going to be doing like the 115 DTAC, which are pretty heavy for the 6mm, we'll do the 7 twist. Most everybody's running the 105 to 109 burgers.
Okay.
7.5 or 8 twists will be fine.
All right. All right.
Like
that's
that.
Cool.
All the rifles we build, when somebody comes to us and talks about what caliber they're going to be shooting, we also want to know what weight, grade, and bullet they're going to be shooting, because that's going to dictate, because somebody shooting a light bullet doesn't need as fast a twist as they do if they're going to be shooting a heavy bullet.
Okay.
So it's tailored to what you want to do.
So, all right, that's actually really good, the fact that you go into the loadings that they're intending to use. Because say if, I say, hey, I want a 6.5 Creedmoor. I don't know I think it's like 150. Is it 160 grain?
There's one company that makes 160. The 154 Burger.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's the A-tip, the 150 A-tip.
Okay. All right. I knew there was between like 150 and 160. I'm like,
there's also a 140 that some people like to use.
Yep. So if I want to go, you're saying this is the bullet weight I'm pretty much going to use. Do you go into like what they're loading with, or you just need?
Well, I do loading length. We order our reamers from Dave Manson.
Okay.
And we order them without throats. So, and then we have throating reamers, and we ream your throat separately from the chamber.
Oh.
And that way, you tell us, okay, we're going to load it. I want to load it really long. I want to have my bow tail all the way up in the neck because I'm trying to get more powder capacity out of it because I want some velocity. But I want 30 thousandths jump because I'm using a hybrid bullet. So we'll get a sample, load of what he's going to have.
Oh, okay.
No powder. And then I'll use that as the depth plus 30 thousandths, and that's his throat.
Yep.
But I can do it with any bullet. If you want an A-tip, I can do it with an A-tip, or I can do that with, a Burger hybrid or a Sierra Match King or whatever you want.
Oh, okay. All right. That's very cool because it sounds like your QC just going from the fact that, hey, this is the loading I'm gonna shoot. Oh, we're gonna build it around the load like that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I do want to know because I know
before as we were talking and stuff like that. So you guys actually sponsor a couple people, or one, as you say, 1.5 of the for the PRS circuit. And do you do the F class or
no? Just the PRS circuit.
Just PRS circuit. So I have my own thoughts on the PRS circuit. I've never shot PRS, but I know people that shoot PRS, and I will say the stigma that they give off, I'm like, oh, okay, good for you. But I like the accuracy of like the creativity that people put into their guns, and that's what always kind of drew me to precision rifles. When even though I don't shoot precision rifle, it's just I still can appreciate it, almost like an art form. What made you guys say, hey, let's get this shooter, we're going to sponsor them? Like, do you guys actually like go to the matches and stuff like that? And do you guys compete yourself on the circuit?
I shoot some, not great because I don't have enough time to practice as I'd like to.
Yep.
Like the winners, the little girl that we sponsor, Jaden, she shot close to 40,000 rounds last year.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
She's out there every day practicing.
And I was talking to Andy Slade. We couldn't figure out how many rounds he shot center fire, but we know he used 80 pounds of gunpowder. So yeah,
how many barrels does he go through? Dear Lord.
Yeah, it's a lot. So
2 a year at least.
Like everybody, they come up to these, these pro shooters and they're like, oh, well, what kind of scope do you use? What kind of rifle do you use? It doesn't matter. You're not going to beat them. They literally do this every day. I can build you the best rifle you've ever seen in your whole life and put, a zero compromise scope on it, and you're going to come in way behind them unless you're willing to spend the time practicing.
They're like the Jerry Michalak of precision rifle shooting.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and Jerry didn't become Jerry by buying expensive guns. He became Jerry because he gets on the range every freaking day. And
I'm telling you right now, if I ever decide to really get into USPSA or multi-gun or something like that, and he comes up, I'm just gonna be like, I'm good. I already lost. I don't care. But that's cool.
Lena absolutely destroyed me the last time I was up at Peacemaker.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, it was embarrassing.
Well, I've never
close. But I mean, if you're gonna get beat, you get beat by a Michalak, right?
Oh yeah, if I got beat by a Michalak, I'm like, all right, yeah, I'd rather take that than actually winning the match, because I would never
got to see him shoot.
Yeah, I would never want to beat Jerry Michalak and then have him be like, this mother effer just beat me. and then the next one, he comes in like Rambo First Blood Part 2, and he's just gonna dominate me. No, I'm good. I don't want that.
Walking all over you while he's doing it.
I don't need that. And but he's probably too much of a nice Southern man to even do that. But anyway, so all right, so you guys do. So you have two shooters that literally shoot every single day. How did you find them? And let's explain to the people who are listening the PRS circuit, precision rifle shooting. It's you guys. How does a competition typically go for PRS?
There's usually 10 stages, sometimes up to 12 stages, and it's positional shooting, which is really interesting. F class and bench rest are about precision, because you're where you're at, that's where you're shooting. You're not moving, you're watching the wind. That's all you've got to do. PRS, you're shooting off a barricade, you're shooting off of rocks, you go in the prone. Calling it precision rifle when you compare it to F class or bench rest, not exactly accurate.
So I'd say
the guns can be as accurate, but you're shooting at 2-minute angle targets, and the bullseyes in F class are half MOA.
Yeah.
So it's the time is lower. I mean, you've got 90 seconds to engage 10 targets from 5 different positions. It sounds like 90 seconds should be enough. It's not. It's not even.
And are the targets 200-300 yards out?
No, they're well, with the 22s, they're between 100 and maybe 400. With the high power rifle, they're between 300 and 1200.
Okay, yeah, that 90 seconds is not long. I know.
No, it's not, because you're having to dial. You have to, read your wind, watch your impacts, adjust off your impacts. You don't have a spotter. It's not like unless you can spot your own hits. We were at the last match, and it was at Clinton House, which the winds are weird and switchy there. Like, they're bad. I mean, it's an awesome facility, and if you enjoy a challenge, like, that's challenging wind, that and frontline. But we were talking, sometimes, if you're shooting someplace where you don't have a splash from your bullet and you're not getting impacts, we'll take the post and we'll dump around right into the dirt just to see where the wind's pushing our bullet. Like, because you can't call your own hits. So, you'll burn around just to figure out where the wind is and then hold off the wind on that. So there's a lot of strategy to it. It's challenging.
Yeah,
it really is.
Now, do you see a lot of people, like, especially the guns you guys make, do you ask them, are you using them for suppression? Like, do you suppress this? Like, do you kind of tailor the guns you build if they're saying, hey, I might be using, this suppressor with it as well?
Not typically. I'll know if they're going to run a suppressor because we index the muzzle devices. We don't
yep.
Washers and stuff will, index it on the lathe. So if they're using a suppressor mount, we'll have to index it to that mount. I don't see, unless you get a bad suppressor, I don't typically see.
No, that's yeah.
We don't usually get degradation in accuracy out of suppressors.
Okay, because I know sometimes there's some point of impact shift.
Well, point of impact shift is
that's a given.
Point of impact shift is a function of weight on the barrel. So the heavier the barrel, the less point of impact shift you're going to get, and it should be repeatable. Like on my rifles, I know, and it's in my book, I'm going to be down 3/10 and left whatever or right. And then but I should be able to dial that every time and know where it's going to go. And if you can't, that's an issue. You've got something going on that you need to figure out. Usually it's the suppressor mount. Most suppressor mounts, the QD suppressor mounts aren't great.
So like the chemo and the tri-lug. I don't see anyone doing a tri-lug on a precision rifle, but
no, yeah, it'd be interesting though. But like, that'd
be kind of cool. I'd like to see it.
That'd be a heck of a spring. But getting it tight and keeping it tight, if there's any wiggle on that suppressor, it's gonna mess up your harmonics, and you're just not gonna get the accuracy. It was one of the biggest complaints we had early on with the Knights mount that went around the gas block.
Yep.
On the M110s.
Yep.
But they just they were walking all over the place.
Yeah, and that M110 from Knights Armament is like what, $25,000 now if you were to buy it as a civilian. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just saying.
Oh no, they were great guns. It was the gun. There was absolutely nothing wrong with that rifle. It was the suppressor mount. But I mean, your weakest link in all of that.
And that's 90% of what we deal with in precision is the weakest links and eliminating them and getting everything true and square.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what comes down to it is if you don't got that out of the gun, then you're kind of already up shit's creek.
Yeah, exactly. If you're gonna do a suppressor for PRS, probably the 419, because it has a comp. It's only moderately a suppressor because it's kind of a short suppressor, so you get some noise reduction to the point where you're not like bleeding afterwards. Well, those comps, like I have, tinnitus and brain injury. At the end of a day, man, with those real hard comps, those V comps, my head is throbbing. And I've talked to a lot of other vets that are just like, this
Even
sucks.
wearing ear protection, just the concussion.
Yeah.
Of those
I have to double up on my ear pro because I blew my eardrums out when I was a teenager, and it's constantly just ringing. So I don't shoot guns over a certain caliber because I just know it's going to be a loud shot. I'm not going to enjoy it. And that's why I'm kind of trying now. I'm in Florida. I can own a suppressor. I'm highly looking into, I mostly shoot 5.56 right now. That's the highest caliber I have, or I'll shoot a 20 gauge for sporting clays. But like I don't shoot high calibers, but still. An AR-15 has a little bit of concussion. If a suppressor is going to take a little bit of a concussion out of it, hell yeah. But I do want to ask, with the PRS shooting as well, do you find that with obviously these two shooters literally shooting all the time and they're knocking everybody out, are you getting a lot more exposure because of that from that shooting circuit?
Oh yeah, good bit. Mm-hmm. And actually, the Andy Slade has a shop and sells a good number of our 22 rifles at his shop.
Yeah, he carries our guns at his shop. So.
Okay. Well, how much let's get in. We should have covered this in the beginning. How much typically do your rifles go for? So for anybody listening, they're like, "Oh,
yeah." It's funny because your girlfriend came up to our, or I'm sorry, your fiance came up.
She's my girlfriend. She's
our girlfriend. Yeah. And she noticed we didn't have any prices, and I was like, "It's like coming to the Ferrari dealership if you got to ask."
Yeah, you can't afford it. All right, yeah, so okay, like I assumed for the amount of quality and QC and what you guys have been talking about this show, I assumed it was going to be kind of a high price tag, but it was just out of curiosity. Like,
no, I was just playing around. They like the barreled actions. For the Rimex, so you get the action and it's a Lilja barrel. Typically, it's a Lilja, but we'll use other barrels if you ask us. And a magazine are
1950.
That's not bad.
Yeah, and then you get to pick your trigger and chassis and optics.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we can do that for you. You can do it using, if you got a 700 chassis laying around, it'll fit in any Remington 700 chassis. So.
I mean, hey, at least, and you're going with probably the most popular chassis, the most popular action everyone's using,
Exactly. That's why Rimex went that route, was so that it was interchangeable. Their original idea was so that competitors in the off season could take their chassis and optics and practice it with the 22 with the same feel and weight of their competition rifle, and then the 22 PRS just took off. So we have very few people that don't want to complete Rimex, but a lot of them are, like guys shooting an ACC Elite,
will use the same
chassis in their Rimex so that they saw the same feel.
Well, all right. That's not like, oh wow. When I think of the same thing though, like, all right, precision rifle. If you got to ask, you probably can't afford it.
Like we've got 300 a couple 300 Normas that just went out of the shop that were 10 plus with optics,
Oh yeah. Once you add optics, especially if you want, like, I prefer first focal plane, so that's probably why I don't shoot a lot of rifle, because I know a lot of people are into second focal plane scopes.
Yeah, not in the long range precision will smack you in the head.
Yeah.
Nobody shoots second in long range precision.
Okay. Thank God.
Second focal is pretty much just hunting scopes.
Okay, I hate second focal plane, and I always everyone. A few people have tried saying like, "Oh, you should get a second focal." I can't see. Like I need glasses really bad, and I refuse to get them. That's why I carry red dots on everything. So like a second focal plane, I'm like,
right.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I don't know. But
they're very uncommon in long range.
Thank God, because I just don't think it should be a thing. Just saying.
No, actually, if the truth be 92, maybe 93, they showed up and they had Loophole started making scopes for the military rifles, and they were the Loophole Mark IVs, and they were the very first generation of them. They were second focal plane. They had mil dots, but MOA turrets. Like they were the most
That
schizophrenic.
bothers me. That bothers me
they were
so
the
much.
most schizophrenic. I was like, "What am I do the math in my head? Are you kidding me?"
Well, that's the thing. I'm like, I'm very hyper focused when it comes to stuff like that. I can do the math for mil dot where, okay, 1 click, it's, 10 clicks for this. And then I'm like, I'm just going to do MOA. Like, I rather like that's an easier math to do. Like, if someone was like, oh, it's mil dot, but it's MOA scope, I'm going to be like, I don't want it. That's the like, no.
We didn't either.
Why would you do that?
So we got them. They were awesome.
I would like to meet the guy.
I'd like to meet the supply sergeant that ordered those fucking eggs.
Or just like go to Leopold, be like, who signed off on this? Like,
yeah, I know, right?
Like, how many people did this go through before you guys signed off saying, yeah, we're gonna do this?
Yeah, a high functioning engineer.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, right? Oh, I'm telling you, I would. This is why I can't have any management position. I would fire people. I would just fire people left and right. I said that to my old manager at one of my shops, and I was like, "Don't ever give me a management position. I'm going to fire half the store. I can't do
exactly.
it." That's why I like what I'm doing now, because like I have a good understanding with my boss is like a good friend of mine, but like he trusts me enough to like leave me alone, and like today I was cutting bar stock on aluminum. Like it's like I like working by myself, and like it's definitely like the working for yourself mentality is probably worth its weight in gold over anything. It's peace of mind is what I've said.
Really.
But yeah, guys, this has been an absolutely interesting conversation. I have not. It's making me think. I think I should start getting into building a rifle. Maybe now I got access to a lathe and stuff.
It's a rabbit hole, man.
Oh yeah, it definitely is. Building guns, and plus, especially working with my boss Walter, he builds so many different other guns too. So he's telling me, like, well, you can get this parts kit, and I'm like, oh man, I'm getting sensory overloaded right now. But
what? Hey, Gordy Gritter's down in Florida now. He's not out. He's not out in Arizona.
Who is that?
Gordy. He's probably the best riflesmith in the world. Like he's got
as a class down there in Florida.
But he's got more rifles than the Guinness Book of World Records. I mean, he's amazing.
Really?
Like, if you want to know about building long range rifles, he's the guy.
He's the man.
Like anytime I have a question because I just don't know, I just call him. Because he'll know.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he's amazing.
I'll have to check that out. No, before we close to the show, I do wanna ask, what is your guys' opinion on now where a lot of companies are starting to just sell barreled actions, like Aero Precision is coming out with their barreled action. There's a couple other companies that are coming out with just kind of like build it yourself bolt guns. What is your have you had any what is your experience and or thoughts on them?
Well, it's it doesn't bother me because like everybody's got a price point they've got to get into, and not everybody can start off with a custom rifle. And pretty much the rule is when you get into this, everybody goes out and they buy the best factory gun they can, and then they shoot that for a year, and then somebody lets them shoot their custom gun, and they figure out the difference, and then they come see us. There's nothing like that arrow. We just had a guy bring one of those arrows over, and it's solid.
Yeah, it's a step up from a factory gun, but we're like 4 or 5 steps up from a factory gun. And after you've shot one for a while, it becomes it's like the Ruger Precision 22. You shoot that for a while, and then I let you shoot one of my Remexes, and you'll be like, "Oh shit, I got to sell my Ruger."
It comes back to it's a rabbit hole. Everything is a rabbit hole, and you get
the difference is obvious, but everybody's got to start someplace.
I
think Aero does pretty much everything they do pretty damn well. And there's the Solus actions.
Yeah, the Solus was the other one I was thinking about.
I
kept wanting to say Howa, but like Howa is a barreled action. It's not like a
Howa makes a barreled action, but they don't. I don't think they make precision ones. They make
they make
a precision.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
And they're pretty decent. The Howa's actions are actually really nice.
Really nice.
I built a guy is 6'5" on one not long ago, and it's
Yeah,
he's
he was a
winning.
shooter.
He's winning all kinds of stuff with that.
Yeah.
So,
Hell
yeah,
yeah.
the how action, the Remington action, the actions aren't ever the problem. It's the tolerances. So,
All right. Well,
And it's one of those things where, like, if you're going to get into it, spending a bunch of money up front, you know, buying a $3,000 rifle and deciding, well, I don't really like this. Now you got to sell it. You know, start with what you can afford and
go from there.
go from
build
there.
up from there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of what this whole channel is based off of. Buying at a certain price and then picking and pulling, like, you know, what part goes where. Just like this gun right here, this Glock frame is $40 on Brownells. And
I was looking at those,
and
they
these
look pretty decent.
they're the stipple. I really enjoy the stippling, and it has a double undercut and a more defined finger groove, so you don't get Glock knuckle. But I like just the texture on it. But this gun right here, I got probably with Cerakote $1,100 into it, and it only
Doesn't
cost
take
me
long.
it doesn't take long at all.
I got a 365 I just finished for a guy over there. It's like $2,000. I mean, no, it's not finished, but
I got about $1,000 into my 365 that I built up.
Yeah, I mean, like you can get in, you can go nuts on these things.
Oh, it's nuts. Like this dagger, I'm like, I love my dagger.
Mm-hmm.
Only thing I want to do with this is maybe change the trigger on it. I'm like, all right, I don't need it. I don't need to put anything else into it. It's a great gun. But guys, where can people find you? Like, how can people get in touch with you if they say they want to reach out saying, I want some bolt gun work or I want some gas gun work? How can they reach out to you?
We have a Facebook under Zero Dark Precision and an Instagram as well under Zero Dark Precision. Either one of them are.
And you can look us up on Google and just give us a call. We don't have a website. I kept meaning to do one, and I'm just like, I build guns. I don't know anything about computers.
I like that. Honestly, I like that. You know, I don't need to deal with computers. I'm good.
Yeah.
Like,
I build rifles. I build rifles. You want a computer guy? Get a computer guy.
Perfect note to end on. Well, guys, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. I had a great time. Guys, for everyone who's watching, I see Live Life out in the chat. Don't worry, guys. I have been keeping up with the chat. I appreciate everyone coming over for our first official podcast live stream on YouTube. Rumble. And we've had a consistent 15 to 20 people. So hell yeah. I do suggest if you guys are still up and want to listen to some live streaming or something like that, my good buddy John Crump, he is running a toy drive for his wife, his niece Bella. We all know the story what happened with Bella, who unfortunately lost her life to cancer. He's running a fundraiser right now. I'm going to be on there in probably about 20 minutes, and we're going to raise a little bit of money for something that's near and dear to John and his family. So go check him out on YouTube. But guys, as always, next week we'll be here on Rumble, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time next week. Stay safe, stay shooting. Eric, Doug, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Great talking to you.
No problem, man. Well, guys, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next week. Have a good one. And hold on right before you guys hop off.